when our national research agency, Chagas, proposed to trial GM this year, what they wanted to do was trial a potato that had a gene inserted that would make it blight resistant. Many of us were upset in Ireland about this, and because our reputation in Ireland is built around our very wholesome and often organic, beautifully nutritious food, very pure, that this introducing GM into Ireland is really a public decision. It isn't just for the government to decide, that it's something that the people themselves need to get involved in and get educated about before this happens. And so there was a discussion within our sort of circle around how we could raise awareness in the public. And so it was at that moment that I thought, well, wouldn't it make sense to buy, say, a ton? I knew nothing about what a ton of potatoes was, but buy a ton of potatoes, seed potatoes, that are naturally blight resistant, because I actually, in fact, until we had this discussion in the garden, didn't know that naturally blight resistant potatoes exist. Buy some naturally blight resistant potatoes, give them away through our community gardening network to anybody who's interested in growing them, and see how they work this year. At least it would get people talking about this whole subject of blight resistance in Ireland, which many people even didn't realize existed still. They thought that blight disappeared with the famine, and this is the thing about industrial agriculture. We're masking the fact that we have these diseases by spraying up to 20 times a season, for instance, for blight in Ireland at the moment. When a ton and a half of potatoes arrived in my neighborhood, I thought, how the hell am I going to get rid of these? But actually it was quite the opposite. We ended up not being able to supply the demand of people who are interested in trying them out. So I decided to grow Blue Danube because for me, I was very interested in this purple potato, and we planted 10 of them along the railings in our community garden. We have a lot of compost because we're promoting composting. We're generating a lot of compost all the time. So I planted these potatoes on a trough of compost, and then mulched them with compost, and then mulched them with leaf mold. And pretty soon, by August, these plants were taller than I was, and they were spilling onto the street with these profuse, gorgeous purple flowers. They were like an ornamental. And everybody who passed just admired them. They actually said they had a scent, which I didn't really pick up on, but maybe it's just when things are extremely beautiful, you assume that they smell delicious as well. And there wasn't a hope for a weed. I mean, that is the other thing about Charpo potatoes. They have so many other qualities. They're weed suppressant, they're drought resistant, and and they store at higher temperatures. So from a greenhouse gas perspective, they're actually a really interesting potato. So we everybody in the neighborhood noticed these potatoes, and the word spread, and we had bloggers taking pictures and putting them up online. It was a terrific experience. But then when I went to harvest them, I harvested out of I think we planted 400 grams, which is like 10 little tubers about this size, 40 grams each, and I harvested 20 kilos, which is 50 times what I had planted, and they were beautiful big potatoes. Some of them were over half a kilo. They were so big, really big, wonderful potatoes, and I just absolutely loved the variety. They had a really nutty, they were very, very flavorsome. Now, David would tell you that potatoes flavor changes hugely depending on what they're grown on, and he is discovering, and we'd like to do some more on this, that actually potatoes grown on compost and also potatoes, for instance, grown on seaweed, of which we have quite a lot of in Ireland, actually taste far more delicious. And what I'm personally interested in, because my area is healthcare design research, is the nutritional impact of, say, a lot of compost or seaweed, which is really high in nutrients, how that impacts. I know that selenium, there is one farmer in Ireland, Kaethe, who actually spray their potatoes with selenium to get a higher selenium level in their potatoes. And selenium is present. It's a nutrient that's in seaweed and seawater, actually. And even David has been doing spraying potatoes with diluted seawater, and finding that that deters blight. So there's just a whole, what opened up in front of us was this whole range of research that could be pursued. As far as the future plans for the project are concerned, we don't feel it's necessary this year to give away potatoes because 95% of the people who tried them got back to us and said they would like to grow them again. And about the same amount of people said they really loved the taste of these potatoes. So we know the potatoes have got traction. So our next wish really is to pursue all the different issues that came up during this project that would contribute to the sustainability of our food system in Ireland. And we still will do it through the potato because the potato is a kind of we really struck a vein with the potato in Ireland. It is a very important vegetable and in that country because of its history and how it's connected with the famine. So that was a wonderful discovery that there is a door in. I've always felt there was a door in to every aspect of sustainability through the food system, but I didn't imagine that the potato would be the thing that would get me there in the end, and it's been very exciting. So who knows? You'll have to keep an eye out for SPUDS.ie this year and see where we're going.